Tori Petrie. Well, you're used to seeing Tori's Take on DetroitLions.com, but we are spicing things up this year and bringing you a studio show version of this Longtime Lions segment. So, thank you so much for joining us in this new era of Tori's Take. We are back from Arizona, and it was a roller coaster, to say the least. We do a live post-game show on DetroitLions.com, and yesterday I was prepping for the game in the third quarter. I had all my storylines laid out with how the offense was cruising in their new system, how the defense looked beastly like we all thought it would, how TJ Hawkinson was proving why he was a first-round pick. Devon Kennard was having a big game back home in Arizona. And as the fourth quarter went on, I just had to crumple those notes up and start new. The game wasn't even a tale of two halves. It was the first three quarters and then whatever happened after that. Cardinals had just 5 first downs in the first 3 quarters. Kyler Murray threw for just 70 total yards in the first 3 quarters. He went on to finish the day with over 300 yards passing. The Lions were leading the game 24-6 a few plays into the fourth quarter. That means the Cards scored 18 unanswered points in the fourth quarter alone to tie the game and send it into overtime. That's the first NFL tie I've covered personally, and honestly, it felt like a loss. It was the same mood in the locker room, the same mood from the fans. And on Arizona's side, it was treated like a win. Right into the airport, the Phoenix radio station in the car was raving about how good Kyler Murray is and what a great game it was. On paper, it's a mark in the tie column, but it really doesn't feel like a hard-fought, battled-out draw because the Lions had it and they gave it away. Everything seemed like it was clicking how it was supposed to for 3 quarters, and then things just fell apart. You could narrow it down to that muffed punt that turned into a field goal for the Cardinals, or fourth quarter timeout that nullified what really could have been a third down conversion in a critical moment, or that blocked punt that set up the game-tying score. Whatever it was, the bottom line is just that the Lions could not finish the job. Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury said he felt like he got too cute with play calling in the first half, so they adjusted, and the Lions apparently had a tough time with those adjustments. Kyler Murray said the Lions looked tired in the fourth quarter. Whatever the issue, you have to be able to close out games, and the Lions did not do that on Sunday. But since it is just week 1 and there's no reason to be entirely gloom and doom at this point, I will offer up this bright spot: the Lions rookies. TJ Hawkinson looked like he belonged with 6 catches for 131 yards. He was a favorite option for Matthew Stafford with 9 targets and made Bob Quinn look like he really knew what he was doing when he took him with the 8th pick in the draft. The Jelani Tavai pick is looking pretty good as well, as he stepped up in Jared Davis's absence, and the linebacker play did not drop off. He got his first career sack in his first career game. Well, guys, that's what I think about yesterday's game, but what do you think? In just a bit, I'll be answering some fan questions on the show, so submit your questions in the comment section right now for a chance to have it answered on Tori's Take Live. We'll be back with a look around the league in the Extra Point and get to your questions right after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Last year, Mark finished last in his fantasy baseball league. So this year, he brought his daughter to the draft.
He's hitting 285.
Look at his RISP.
This guy.
Calling in the closer? Now that's smart.
Hell.
Like choosing Priority Health Insurance. It's how smart people access a network that includes 97% of primary care doctors in Michigan. Priority Health. Think smart, live smart.
Welcome back to Tori's Take Live, presented by Priority Health. I'm Tori Petrie. You're used to seeing this segment in Tori's Take. It's called the Extra Point. It's where we take you around the league and show you what's going on around the league. When we were rehearsing this show earlier this week, one of our producers made a joke about how this is the part of the show where we talk about what crazy hat Cam Newton wore. Well, Neil, the joke is on you because Cam Newton delivered with this crazy hat that he wore during his press conference on Sunday. Mina Kimes, someone we love for her amazing abilities all across the board in broadcasting, she had a pretty funny tweet here. She says, Cam looks like an old woman in a fable who puts a curse on a young prince in order to teach him a lesson about empathy. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. We've got a scarf going on under a hat. I think that's a new look I've never seen before. Jamel Hill, Detroit native, also had a funny tweet about this. She says Cam Newton's either robbing a stagecoach or will be the villain in an upcoming Indiana Jones movie. I'm kind of thinking looks like the big bad wolf in Little Red Riding Hood or something like that. But hey, it is week 1, and if you're going to pull out a great outfit, week 1's the time to do it. So well done, Cam Newton. All right, guys, we want to get to the part of the show where we are answering your questions. You sent them in. We're going to answer them now. We're going to go to the screen, see what questions you guys have for us. This one's from Ash Soden. They ask, didn't DK play well last night? 3 sacks in the first half. Yes, I totally agree. We talked about that kind of at the top of the show. It was something that I was really going to cover post-game, as one of the highlights of this game was Devon Kennard heading back to his home state of Arizona and absolutely balling out. He still had a great game even despite the end score of the game, which was unfortunately that tie for the Lions. But Devon Kennard really had an incredible game. He wore the helmet, making the calls in Jared Davis' stead. It's what the Lions were trying to do to take some stuff off of Jelani Tavai's plate as a rookie. Really great performance from him to be able to lead that defense yesterday and still get those 3 sacks. Well done from Devon Kennard in his home state of Arizona. Our next question here is from Fire Rick, and they ask, what improvements on the offense do you feel need to be made? Well, for the first 3 quarters, the offense was looking really good. We were about to talk at postgame about how amazing the offense looked, how they just looked like they were clicking. Matthew Stafford had control of everything that was going on. He really looked like he was doing well in Darrell Bevell's new system. We saw him connecting with TJ Hawkinson, the rookie, and that connection was looking real good, especially on that touchdown. He was able to communicate with TJ on the fly, tell him to move over a bit, and that's how he was able to connect with him for that touchdown. Then he had the amazing big yardage play to Danny Amendola, and that offense really just was looking good in those first 3 quarters, but they just weren't able to finish the game. Now, one thing that they didn't do really well all game long was they weren't able to run the ball well. Arizona did a really good job of taking that element out of the game for them and really stopping the run well. That's something that they need to improve on. I think the offensive line play needed to improve off of that first game. Part of why they might have struggled running the ball, but definitely the Cardinals were doing a good job getting some pressure on Matthew Stafford. So the offensive line play needs to be strengthened in these coming games, and they need to get that run game going. But I thought that the passing game, for the most part, looked really good. Our next question here is about the next home game here. They ask, will they ever bring back Africa by Toto at the home games? Well, we've got our home opener at Ford Field coming up in just a few days here. We are so excited to get to that and have you Lions fans out here at Ford Field. It's going to be a blast. I can't tell you whether or not we're going to hear Africa by Toto. I sure hope so, but we will find out. If you haven't gotten your tickets for that one yet, make sure you go on DetroitLions.com and get your tickets for that Lions home opener. Guys, I'm so appreciative to you for joining us on this live version of Tori's Take. It has been an absolute blast, so thank you so much for coming on here, submitting your questions, and participating in our very first live version of Tori's Take. I also want to give a shout out to our awesome crew for pulling off this live version, and we will be doing this as the season goes on. Thank you guys so much. For DetroitLions.com from Xfinity Studio, that was Tori's Take, presented by Priority Health.